Hello guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching this video from and when you are watching this video. So my name is David Ayankosha Emmanuel. My nick is El Zenito. I'm a multidisciplinary designer and yeah, so that's basically all about me. Well, one of my strong points is photo manipulation, and that's basically what we are going to be looking at today. Yeah, so we're going to be looking at the basics of photo manipulation, not a detailed video tutorial, but this video tutorial is just to help you understand some certain things you need to know when it comes to photo manipulation as a beginner. And also, I'll expect that for you to watch this video, you already understand the interface of Photoshop, you know, the basic tools that are there and how to use them. So join me as I go into this video tutorial. So first, all right. So let's start. What is photo manipulation? So photo manipulation, as explained here, is the transformation and alteration of a photograph using various methods and techniques to achieve a desired result. Now, for every design you are to create, it is essential that you already know what you want to create before even creating it, and that's where our creativity as designers comes into play. Now, before you start designing anything on Photoshop, you should have drawn out an image of what your design would look like, and that's why it's always emphasized that before you start any design, you should sketch your plan or sketch your design. Just sketch it, just for you to have a process to work with, or else you, while designing, you just venture into something else. So yeah, it's very, very important to know that you sketch your idea first. So but what does that have to do with this explanation? The light I'm trying to share is this: when you've sketched your design, right, when you already know what you want to design, there are several ways to achieve that sketch. Now, if you sketch a concept and you give it to several artists, several manipulation artists, each of them would come up with that same concept. But if you watch the video on how they have actually achieved it, you see that it is totally different, like different person with different techniques, with different methods. So that's why the reason why I'm saying this is you do not be compelled to using a particular technique that you have seen another photo manipulation artist use. Probably you watched a video of probably Benny Productions or Pixin Perfect, and you saw the way he was able to like remove someone's head and place it somewhere else, or probably paint a face and stuff, and you want to just stick to that particular process or technique of doing it. It's always very, very creative for designers to try out other techniques, and as you try out other techniques, you are able to grow. So, and that's just what I'm trying to expose to you.
All right, so still talking about sketching. There's a part of sketching, because sketching is a very important part of photo manipulation. Like I said, it helps you to know what you are looking at. Now, talking about sketching, there's a part of sketching. Now, in brand identity, there's what we call mind mapping, right? Mind mapping is where you draw out possible elements that should be in a logo design, and you place them side by side to test the best fit. So we do something similar like that in photo manipulation. And what I mean by this is, now that when you have let's say for example you have a brief that have been given to you. Let's say we are working with a brief called your destiny is in your hand. Now, when you have been given that theme, your destiny is in your hand, the first thing you want to do before you even start sketching is to do a bit of mind mapping, where you think and say, okay, this theme, what are the elements that I expected, or what are the elements that I feel should be represented in my design. So the first one is the hand, because as it's just in the literal meaning, your destiny is in your hand. So I would like to see my hand being represented. Then I would like to see probably like an image of myself or something that represents me just above the hand, so it looks like my hand is extended forward, and I'm holding something that represents me. Then I would like to have like a harsh environment around, so that it depicts that your destiny is in your hand, and whatever way you react to the environment around you, whatever way you perceive your environment around you, is based solely on you. And so it's just a determinant of how you carry yourself. And that alone, when I have that as a concept and I show it to probably a client or a judge, they will be able to understand how my concept relates to the theme. So it's always very important to have that mind mapping session. Now, when you have that mind mapping session, you already have your elements. You already know the elements you want to work with. So let's just assume for the course of this video tutorial, we are going to be working with that theme, your destiny is in your hand. So I already have that picture, a hand with something that represents me, then a harsh environment. Now we have that. The next thing is to sketch. So you don't necessarily have to know how to draw before you can represent your thoughts in sketches. It can just be as simple as stick figures, just zero, then high, like it can just be as simple as that. But if it's going to be a very simple sketch, it's very important that when you finish sketching, you label. So if you have a stick figure here, you tell, okay, this is the character, this is the water, this is, you just have to label it so that as simple as your sketch is, it is understandable, or it is relatable to anybody that sees it and picks it up and just, oh, this is what this person means. So it's very, very important that we mind map when it comes to photo manipulation, especially when you are given a brief to work with. If it is a freestyle, you might not necessarily mind map, but I would always suggest that you at least sit down and think about the element that should be represented.
So now that we've talked about mind mapping and the importance of sketching, the next thing you're going to be doing is getting the images of the elements that you have drawn out. So the sketch I'm working with is the sketch of a hand with a character, and just something like that represents me in a character. We have it in the at the top of the hand, then a harsh environment. So the next thing is the image sourcing. Now it's very important as designers to know where and where to get your images from, especially your quality images. So I'm going to share a list of image sites that I work with generally. For your image sourcing, especially for high definition image, you would want to check out Unsplash, nappy.co. Now Unsplash, if you're a designer and you don't know Unsplash, then I don't know, probably you might not have been using high definition images. So Unsplash is a very, very popular site, but nappy.co is also popular for those that know about it. It's an all African and an all black image sourcing site. So what I mean by that is that for those of us that always want to work with just black characters, that's where you go. Like everything is just black characters. So we have pixels.com, pixabay.com, shutterstock.com, flickr.com, Bust Shop, and so on like that. So also for those of us that are interested in poster designs, like all these movie posters like the Marvel, the DC and the likes, the reason why I added wall here and wallpaper access is that as designers it's very easy to get those characters there, like very, very easy. You can just get them there and pick out anyone you are interested in using. For example, personally for me, when peradventure I want to get a character, let's say Captain Marvel, and I want to use a Nigerian celeb, I don't need to look too far. I can just go to wallpaper or wall access and just get my character there and do my manipulation. Also for PNGs, portable network graphics, there are sites where you can download high definition portable network graphics. The first and is my favorite is pngitem.com. pngitem.com, you just type wherever it is you are looking for, and you get it. PNG3 is not free, you can subscribe, so but you can only download two PNGs per day, like for free. You can only download 2 PNGs per day, but I can tell you categorically that this site is filled with dope PNGs, like very, 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 very interesting PNGs, and several others like that. So yeah, we are going to be using some sites here to get those elements that I have mentioned, but first I'm going to sketch the elements. I'm going to sketch my concept. So remember our theme is still your destiny is in your hand. So I'm going to sketch the concept. When we sketch it, you are going to see the necessary element that we'll be downloading, and we'll download it together.
Alright, so guys, here I have the sketch I made for the concept your destiny is in your hand, and I made a bit of I did a bit of change in the concept. Now if I zoom in properly, you can see that that's why I said You don't necessarily have to know how to draw to sketch, so long as you are able to place down your idea. So yeah, don't laugh at my drawing, please. Anyways, this is my hand. No, not my hand, but this is um, a person's hand. Now the concept I have is this: we have a bubble, a water bubble, but inside the bubble we have the ocean and the sky. Then on the ocean we have a boat with a person on that boat. So but instead of the normal sky, blue sky, we'll have like a kind of space vibe. Normal blue sky is just clear, but this one won't be clear. It's going to be like dark. It's more like a night kind of sky. So we have a person on the boat on the ocean. Now inside the ocean we have the likes of the shark and different fish. Then in the background itself we have a probably a sky background, but a dark sky background or something ash. Now behind the bubble itself would have a light. We'll create a light so it looks like there's a light shining on the bubble itself. So that's basically the concept. It's a simple concept, but the way I explain it now, it might look very strange, it might sound very strange, I mean. So yeah, but this is what we're going to be creating. Very, very simple and straightforward. Like I said, the title or the theme is your destiny is your hand. So we're going to go straight to our site. Now the first one, Unsplash. Now because of the fact that I had to pre-record this video, I already downloaded those elements that I needed. Not all, but most of them. So now the first thing I just did was that, okay, I need a hand. Now it's not just any hand, because if you just type hand, you'll be surprised to see just hand, different hand. But funniest thing is that you might be lucky enough to see the kind of hand you are looking for, which is this particular hand. This is exactly like, let me just open, let's go back to our concept. Now exactly the kind of hand we are looking for is what we saw here. So we will download this hand, right? Now what other things do we need? The bubble, the light. The light, we don't need to download the light, you create it yourself. It's a part of being creative. Then the background, we need a sky background, so you can download the hand, sky background, type sky. Now the reason I'm using Unsplash is because this place it's royalty free images. So but yeah, so you can just pick any of the sky here, and I don't want you to work totally with what I have created. I just want you to, like I said, don't always follow the technique 100%. Always walk around yours so you get better. Now you get an image of a sky, but now we need what next do we need? We need the image of a bubble, the image of a boat, and yeah, and the image of the person. So to create that, like I said, there's a particular site I use for all my PNGs, and that site is called PNG Wing. It's the best site, like the just, I mean, 100%. Anything you're looking for that is PNG, just come here. You don't stress yourself. There are certain things that I don't download. For example, now let me show you. I can go online and type on Unsplash and type bubble, then start tracing out the bubble. But we have to, like, you don't have to do that kind of stress. Just type bubble, and it brings you different version of bubbles. So we just scroll and look for the one that is all PNGs and just download. And honestly, that some of them are very, very high definition. For example, this one is one I really downloaded. Ocean. Now you can download the ocean on Splash as well. You can download it here as well, but first let's get the boat. So just type in boat. When you type in boat, you can see series of boats that you can use. We have a series of them here. If you want to use a pirate boat, any kind of boat, I mean, it makes life very easy. You don't have to download an image, a JPEG, and start tracing it out and all that. So yeah, that's one of the tips of photo manipulation. Find a way to make it easier for you to create what you want to create. Work smart. smarter, don't work just harder, work smarter. So yeah, that's for the boats. What else we need shark and the likes. So you can just come here and just type shark, you know, and just you get the shark stuff. So everything that we have here, you already have the resources. You just need to type the site and look for the site. For example, we need a site that looks like a space. And all you just need to do is go back to your slash, go to your slash and type space, SPACE, or space, not spaces. If you type spaces, it will bring out something else. Space. So now you can see different. Oh, I love this. Let's just download this now. So you can see different space, character, and all. So like I said, PNG Wing is the best PNG site out there. Like, trust me. So yeah, what we want to do, like I said, is we want to create. This is the concept you are working with. This is the bubble, the boat, the character, and you know, sharks and stuff, and the likes. So we are going to get our bubble and the boat on PNG Wing. So go to PNG Wing, just type in bubble. It makes life very easy. Like, just work smart, work smarter, don't work harder. I mean, make life very easy for yourself as a manipulation artist. So all these bubbles here are PNG. You just download and use. It makes life very easy. And funniest thing is that some of them are so high in quality that they are even sharper than some JPEGs. Like for example, this particular one that we are going to be using is 3.2 MB, and it's free. Just download. So you can also scroll down and look for other types. You can look at this one. This one makes sense as well. Let's download it. So click on this and you just, you know, come down here, download this PNG. Now it tells you to sometimes it downloads automatically, but sometimes it tells you to fill a like a puzzle, and you just download. It's very easy. And also look for boats, BOAT, and you'll see thousands of boats you can use. This is the one we are going to be using. It is 2.5 MB. Like, different boats. Imagine me having to download boats as a PNG and now tracing it out. It's a lot of work. So yeah, use PNG Wing for your PNG collation, and also you can come here and download your images, free images, free royalty free images. So now we are going to jump straight into the design proper. Let's go.
Alright guys, so yeah, let's jump straight into our design proper. Now the first thing is you're going to come down to your file, go to new, and now one thing you should understand is that Photoshop, it's a very powerful software. So depending on your kind of system, you would want to use an image size that can make your work go smoothly. So for my particular system, I'm going to be working with the width 2250 pixels, and for the height I'm going to be using 2700, and that's because we are working with a portrait design and not the landscape design. So for the resolution, I'm still going to stick with my 300. For the background color, I just like to have it as black, and let's change the name to Destiny. As you know, that's, you know, the theme of what we are working on is your destiny is in your hand. So that's basically the concept. So let's create. Now we jump straight into Photoshop, and we can see this is the canvas. This is where all the magic happens. So yeah, now the reason why I'm not going to spend time explaining the tools is because this is a beginner's tutorials for photo manipulation and not Photoshop. So I expect that you already understand the interface of Photoshop, but peradventure you do not understand, you can just take out 10 to 15 minutes to go on YouTube and check out videos on Photoshop interface and get yourself acquainted to the interface. It's very simple and straightforward. Well, if you already have that, let's just jump straight to it. Now, um, let's go straight to this. You see that I already have a folder created, and I called the folder ngd Photoshop. And so the reason why I have that is that after downloading all your elements and your images, it's very essential that you save them in a particular folder, so that whenever you're working and you need an element or you need an image, you know where to go. It is not just scattered on your desktop. It's very, very important. It keeps your work tidy. So, and it also makes your work fast because you already know where your stuffs are. Same thing with other projects. So the first thing I want to do is bring in sketch. This is our sketch. So like you can see here, we have the background, the basic stuff as we have explained earlier. So let me just rasterize it. So the reason why I'm rasterizing it is because it was a smart object when I drag it in, and what it does as a smart object, it retains the quality of the image. But I don't want to retain the quality. I want it to be a raster image because it's not an important part of this design. It's just to guide us. Excuse me. So yeah, this is the background. For the background as well, I remove the lock and just change it to BG. So it's like I said, it depends on this to make your work flow smoother on Photoshop. There are certain things that you want to put into consideration. So there are certain elements that when you bring them into Photoshop, because of how heavy they are, it makes your system hang, or it makes your system go slow a little bit. So sometimes if you know that you're not going to do so much on that particular image, you can just rasterize it. Just change it to a raster image instead of leaving it as a smart object. So yeah, the first thing we're working on is the background. So we need to bring in our background. This is our background. You drag it into Photoshop, and yeah, this is it's a very nice background. And what you want to do is just hold down Alt and drag from the diagonal, so that it is proportional in your when you're expanding, it's proportional. So now always ensure that you name your layers. A lot of us, we are very lazy when it comes to naming our layers. We just want to design and go, but it makes your work very clean. So this one, we call it background. All right. Oh, that's a very, very wrong spelling. Excuse me. So yeah, this is the background. Now the next thing you want to do, let's bring in the next thing is the and, right? So I'm going to rasterize my background. So right click and click on Rasterize Layer. The reason why I'm rasterizing the background is because the background, as much as it is important, I'm not going to do so much on it. So but yeah, and it's an heavy file, so I just want to ensure that my system is not going slow at any point. Now the next thing is the and. So what you want to do is, this is the and that we're using. So let's open it to make our work clean. Let's open it with Photoshop. So instead of just dragging it into this particular tab, we just open it separately. Now what we need in this image is just the and, right? All we need is just the and. So there are various ways to select. You can come down to your quick selection tool and increase and start selecting like this. Anyone can work for you, but I'm just going to quickly do one that has to do with the AI version of the selection tool. So what we can do there is this. Let's first remove the bulb. So selecting our polygonal lasso tool, you select the bulb like this. We want to remove it, and to remove it, we just select, right click and choose fill and select content aware. Now this would only work if you're using Photoshop 2019 upward. That's what 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. I'm currently using 2020. Excuse me. And so yeah, you can see that it has removed it. Like, it makes it very, very easy, and you can always use this concept for your other designs. So when you're done with that, come up here, you see select, and you will see color range, focus area, and subject. What we are interested in is subject. That's because you want to select the subject of this image. So when you click on subject, the AI automatically scans for the most emphasized subject there, and it selects it, and it gives you a very clean work, very clean work. So when you have selected that using your subject, you come up here, you will see select and max. Click on select and max. What you want to do is that you don't want to just select and just bring it out, you want it to be refined, right? So when you click on select and max, you will see these settings here are already preset, like it's something I've worked on for a while. So yeah, just ensure your smart radius is activated. Just click on it, smart radius activated. Your radius you can work with 1 pixel for your radius, depending on what you want to select on this image. So my smooth, I used 1, my feather, I used 0, and that's because I don't want the edges to start looking feathery and there's this vibe it gives. So I don't want that. If I'm going to add any kind of blur to the edges, I will do that manually. So your feather 0, contrast 33. Now let me show you something. If I bring it down to 2, it might not be so obvious, right? But it might not be so obvious. But if you're trying to select an image that has so many things around it, when you bring down the contrast, those other particles around it will start showing. So yeah, but since this is just a hand, it's easy to just use a lower contrast. Your shift edge as well. So what shift edge does is that it contracts the selection of the hand from the other element, that's from the background. So if I increase the shift edge, other part of the background is attached to it. It's just similar to contrast as well. So when you are done with this selection, come down here, you will see the contaminate colors. Select the contaminate colors. Output to choose new layer with layer mask. What you are trying to do is you're telling the system that this particular hand I'm designing, I want it to be saved on a new layer with a layer mask. And always click on remember settings, so that when you are probably doing another selection, it automatically brings your settings back. Then you press OK. Now when you press OK, you can see that this is in a new layer. This is the original image. This is in a new layer, and we have the layer mask. So what I do is I will just apply the layer mask. So click on this layer mask, right click, and you select apply. That is, you want this hand to stand alone without background. So when we are done with that, you just drag this into, so this is the hand. Now this hand is too big, so click on your transform tool, and yeah, hold down Alt to transform proportionally. I think we are good to go here. Then you can bring it down. You can increase it a little bit. It depends on what you want to achieve. So yeah, we are done with like 10% of the design. I mean, you have the background, you have the hand. The next thing is the bubble. Now, like I said earlier in the beginning of this tutorial, everybody has a particular target, a particular result in hand, and the target is this concept. Now, the way we get to this concept varies. So anything I do here is basically my concept, or the way I'm able to achieve this result. So just follow me. Now, on normal day, someone else would just say, okay, you know what, before I go for let me just edit the background, let me edit the hand, let me make sure the hand blends well with the background and all that. I don't want to do that. So what I want to do first is lay every image necessary on the canvas, then start my editing. So alright, let's close this. So the next one to bring in is the bubble. And the reason why I always emphasize that we use PNG wing is because as much as the bubble is transparent, it's also very clear. So this is the bubble we are using. We have 2 bubbles actually, so any one is preferable. So let's just drag this in. This is beautiful. Now you can hold down Alt. We don't want it to rest directly on the characters, and so it's just going to be floating. Let's bring in the second one to see how effective that would be. Excuse me. I apologize for that. So the second one, let's see if it would make sense as well. Yeah, I think I prefer the second one. The second one captures let me see. Okay, 1, 2. So yeah, we can use both, but let's start with this. Now, like I said, always name your layers. The and, name it as and. The bubble, just bubble 1, and the bubble 2. Bubble 2. All right. So I'm going to rasterize the bubble as well. Now we have this. It's making sense. It's looking nice already. So, like I said, I just want to lay everything out. Then we can start editing later. The next thing is, what are those things inside the bubble? Sure, understand. So we have. Let me zoom in. We have the ocean. We have the boats. We have the character. We have the shark, and we have the space. Everything inside this bubble. Now, because everything is going to be inside the bubble, is best for us to create a constraint so that anything we are adding will not go beyond that constraint. So, for example, permit me, this cup is the bubble, right? And we want to put in the ocean, the boat, whatever. So we'll have to first create a shape like this that can contain those things we want to bring into the bubble. And to do that, we can just hold down Control. We can hold down Control and select the bubble. Let me do that again. Deselect, Control D. You hold down Control and select the bubble. Now, when you hold down Control and select the bubble, you would see that it's not all parts of the bubble that is selected, and that's because the bubble is transparent. So to make sure all parts of the bubble are selected, you can use your polygonal lasso tool. So you can zoom in properly. Use your polygonal lasso tool to make sure it is addition. To select, just do a rough selection. To select it around like this. So what we are trying to do is we want to make sure that the shape of the bubble is properly selected and no part is missing out, or else any part that is missing out will not contain the elements we are trying to bring in. So now that we have selected the bubble, create a new layer. Come down here, click on new layer, and make it bubble max, or you can call it inside of the bubble, depending on how you want to do it. But yeah, we have bubble max. Now select click on any selection tool, right click and press fill. So want to fill it up, press fill. Just use foreground. We want to use white. Press OK. Deselect. So what we have done is we've been able to select the shape of the bubble. We selected the shape of the bubble, which is actually circle, and we were able to create it as a new layer. Or there's another way to do it that will not even give you so much stress, like this. We know that the bubble is circle. You can just come down here, select the ellipse tool, and hold down Shift and drag your circle like this. And when you finish dragging it, you can now place it onto you. Then you can use your Alt to proportionally enlarge it until you are sure that yes, I'm satisfied with what I have here. So yeah, then you can change the color to white. I prefer this because the previous one, when you select it, there's tendency that some part of it will still be a little bit transparent. But when you use an automatic shape, it retains every quality of the shape, which is circle itself. So yeah, this is the circle. So let's just call it bubble marks. Now that we have the circle, what we want to now do is we want to start bringing in those character. But you will notice that this circle, this ellipse is white, and stuff that we're bringing in, they have colors, they have different stuff, but we want it to be in the bubble itself. So at the end of the day, we don't want a color to be on this bubble. We want it to be transparent but still having that shape. So we're going to do that. All right, so now that we have the bubble marks, so there are various ways to, because everything we're going to be putting inside the bubble must be in that constraint. So there are various ways to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay everything out, then use the layer marks of the bubble on each character. So yeah, the first thing we want to do is put the ocean. So the ocean, we go to our folder, and I have an ocean here downloaded also in PNG wing. And so what I just did, I just drag the ocean in, and I lay it. I use my, using the Alt tool, I transform it proportionally. And now let me just quickly change it to ocean. And yeah, rasterize layer. Don't mind me that I'm rasterizing on my layer. I'm ensuring that I'm just making sure that all my my Photoshop runs smoothly, and also making sure that it goes very, very smooth. So yeah, I have ocean here, and right, so I have my ocean here, and what I just do is I'm going to power clip. For the meantime, I'm going to power clip the ocean into the bubble marks just for the meantime. So what I just do is click on the ocean, right click, select clip, create clipping marks. So when you select it, it automatically gets clipped into the what's it called, the bubble marks. Or we can just go ahead to just do it along the way. So let's just Ctrl Z to go back, and click on Control and select your bubble marks. So what you're trying to do is that you want to just lay directly into the bubble. So let me explain that again. Now we want to place the ocean into this bubble, and we want to use these bubble marks, these white marks, to serve as a constraint. And to do that, because that marks itself is circular, to do that we just have to select the marks itself and place it as a marks for the ocean, and same thing with others. Yeah, just watch what I want to do. So to do that, you will hold down Control and select your bubble, and it automatically selects the bubble. Now you can turn it off. Now select your ocean, and instead of going down here and pressing add layer mask, which you can just right click, or yeah, you can just go straight like that. I mean, it makes it very, very easy. You can just go straight like that and just press add layer mask, and what it does is that it just keeps the ocean itself in this bubble. Now you can see that the ocean has taken off the transparency of the bubble. Now what we can do is we can just try several blending options till we get what we are looking for. Sometimes in photo manipulation you just have to test run till you see the best one that works for you. So coming down to our normal, we go straight to lighting, color dodge, overlay, soft add. You just keep testing till you see one that works well for you. Now if you do not now see, you just have to walk around like creating something that would be similar to what you actually want. So I still want to keep mine as normal. You understand? I still want to keep mine as normal, because at the end of the day, I'm not after a transparent ocean. Now the top can be transparent, but I'm not after a transparent ocean. I want the ocean to actually retain its quality. But if I want to make sure it is transparent, all I just need to do is just take my brush tool and brush out some part of it. We'll do that when we come down to editing. So yeah, we are still on it. Now the next thing we want to work on is on the ocean we have the boat, and under the ocean we have the shark and the likes. So what we want to do is we can bring the ocean up a little. Excuse me. We can bring the ocean, or no, it works perfect like that, so that it won't take all the space. It's perfect like that. So what we want to do now is bring in the boat. This is the boat I chose. Then you just drag it and drop it. And this boat, thankful to God for us, we already have a boat that has what's it called, the shadow, like it's a watery shadow, so it makes the job easy for us. So you just hold down your alt and place your boat any way you want to place it. So yeah, remember, rename your layer to boat. Now this is our boat. Let me zoom in. You can see that the boat is looking great already, but you would see that the shadow of the boat, this shadow you can see here, because of the way the ocean is placed, there's no way you'll be able to see this same shadow inside the ocean. You can only see it at the top of the ocean. You can't see it inside the ocean. So what we want to do is we are going to use our brush to take this away. And to do that, while selecting the boat layer, just click on layer mask. Click on layer mask, select your brush tool, which is this. Ensure your brush tool is 0% hardness, and your size, just reduce it, just reduce it depending on the size that you're comfortable with. Now what we want to do is we want to brush across the down part of this ocean so we can clear out all these parts. Now your opacity, my opacity is currently at 35, so I want it to be 100, right? So yeah, this is it. So we can now start painting. Just to brush out, let me increase it. Brush out those parts that I don't want to show. I'll just brush them out like that. Now when you get to the top and you don't want it to, you still want to brush it a little bit but not as much, you can come down to opacity and reduce your opacity to probably 38 or something, so that when you brush across here, it takes away some parts of the boat shadow, but it's still almost visible, so it makes it look more realistic. Then you can reduce the opacity a little bit more and play around this side. Just play around this side. Yeah. So let's assume I'm comfortable with this. You can see that it's looking dope already. Now, while we are doing all this, the reason why I saved a second bubble is so that when you are placing an element on a bubble, it might not have that vibe of it being inside a bubble. So what we will do is we are going to use the second bubble on every element and make sure that it actually gives the vibe of it being inside a bubble and not just placed on it. So yeah, while we continue, let's just quickly save our work, Destiny. So now every other edit would come later, but like I said, I'm just making sure that it is placed properly. Now the next thing we want to do, like I said, we have the sharks and the rest. So let's bring in, I think we downloaded a shark. Yeah, we downloaded this shark. You can drop it here. The layer is supposed to go up here. Yeah, so change it to shark, just something like this. Now you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller depending on what you want. Depending on what you want. So I'm just going to make one bigger and probably two by the left and by the right. So that's just Control J to copy, and to reduce it, you bring it down here. Bring this one down here. Control J to duplicate. Press down Control J to duplicate. Then you bring it down here again. We are still going to blur out this shark so that it doesn't look so unrealistic. Now this is shark 1, shark 2. Just ensure you are naming them so that when it's time for you to group them, it's going to be very, very easy. So now let's continue. The next thing is having a character on the boat. Now for the character, I was able to download this image. So I'm going to just open with Photoshop. So this is the image I'm going to work with. So I'm going to work with the image of this boy holding a stick and something like that. So instead of using the what's it called? Instead of using the AI tool, that's the subject selection tool, I'm going to use my pen tool. Now pen tool is one tool that a lot of people don't like using, but it actually gives you a very good selection, and it's very good when you are using it for probably comic art and the rest. So this is our pen tool. You can zoom in properly so that you can see your image well. So what you want to do is just select. I'm just going to explain how pen tool works, and just play around, continue with my selection. So what you do is to select using pen tool, select a particular point, select another point, and drag till you are satisfied. Then select, drag. Like, it's very, very easy. It's just very easy, and just continue. So just watch as I select all these, All right. So I want him to hold a little bit of stick just to this part here, not something so big. Just a very simple selection. All right, so let's just do that. All right, so I've been able to do the selection just so we can not waste much time. Now after doing the selection, I just come down to select and max. And as usual, we have the contrast. I can increase the contrast. Now this is what I'm talking about, like when you increase and decrease contrast, you can see the difference. So I can increase the contrast. Now this is the difference between shift edge. You see, it's some part of the elements are showing, some part are not showing. Anyways, I'm just going to leave it around there and press OK. So apply layer mask. Now I'm going to bring in this character into this boat, and I want him to be, let me zoom in, I want him to be above the boat. So now let's change it to model. So just place him, you can zoom in, this is the edge of the boat, so you can drag him in like this. Then reduce the size of the boy since he's a young guy, and just properly place it. You're still going to do all those editing later, but yeah, it's still very, very rough, but yeah, it's coming to life, right? So the next thing we want to do is we want to put in, what's next? The next thing is we want to put in the space, that's the sky in the bubble. So for the sky, as usual as well, bring in the sky, and so we are working with this sky, right? Drag it in here. We're working with this sky. We are going to reduce it like this, something like this. And now after reducing it, change it to sky. SKY. Rasterize it. if you want to. I am rasterizing because it's a tutorial video, so I do not intend to probably bring in something else later after the tutorial video. But if you intend to, please make sure it is kept as a smart object. Anyways, after rasterizing, the same thing we did for this ocean, you are going to do for the sky. What did we do? You will go to your bubble marks, hold down Control and select your bubble marks so it can select the shape. And then you can turn off your bubble marks, then turn on your turn on your sky, then come down here and just select layer marks, and we have the layer marks there. Now you can see that because Photoshop works in layers, the topmost layer will be in the front, so, and that's why we have our sky above everything else. So what we want to do is we want to bring it down below the ocean, which is this. So you just drag it down, and we have something like this. So we have something like this. You can see that it's very, very rough. It's looking very, very tacky, and it's kind of rough. So, but yeah, it's just a process. I mean, we're just starting. So quickly, what's the next thing we want to do? The next thing we want to do is we want to put in a glowing kind of ball, or something like a glowing light behind the bubble. And to do that, this is the bubble itself, right? So just behind it, we can just create a new layer and call it glow, and just come down to your brush tool, make sure your opacity is at 100, and increase your brush tool. And just like the way you dab when painting, you dab, the same thing, you're going to just dab probably once or twice. Just dab once or twice. So let me bring it up so you can see what we just did. This is what we just did. So let's delete it. Let's do it at the top so you can see it. So like I said, create a new layer, call it glow, and select your brush and dab 1, 2. Understand? So you know what, why not we use a different color other than white? So let's just use light yellow, something very like this. So dab 1, 2, then you can bring it behind the bubble, something like this. Yeah, the reason why we are dabbing is just to add just a little bit of lightning effect to the back of the bubble. It's nothing special. I mean, at the end of the day, when we are working on it, if we see that okay, it's not really looking too nice, we can just get a PNG of a ring light that can just circle the bubble and make it look like a Saturn. So yeah, now that we are done with, I mean, everything that we have here as an element is already here. If you agree with me, everything we have here is already here. So I can turn off my NDG, that's my sketch. You can take it down to this part and just forget about it. Now let's start the work proper. Now the first thing is this, like when you're taking like I said earlier, when you want to take a picture and you take a picture of your phone will focus on your hand, right? And other parts of the environment will be blurred out. So because the focus is this hand and the bubble, this background is going to be blurred out. So to do that, we just select the background, come down to filter, and so in this case, if we want to come back to change the background, you can just turn your background to smart object. So you right click and select convert to smart objects, so that anything you do to this background, it won't alter it totally. So after turning it, let's change it to background. Then you can come down to filter and blur and Gaussian blur. So we are using Gaussian blur. There are other blur you can use, other blur effects you can use, but we are using Gaussian blur for this tutorial. So when you select Gaussian blur, it automatically, depending on what you have there, it automatically starts blurring the stuff out. if you bring it up, it blurs it out totally, but we want it to still have that effect of, we want it to still have this kind of vibe of being in an environment, yet not so visible. So I'm going to work with something like this. I mean, depending on what you want, you can work with anyone you want. So I'm going to work with 35 pixel. Okay. Now you see that it is now attached as a smart filter, and that's because your object is a smart object. So that being said, let's move forward. Now let's quickly do something as regards this sky. The sky, we don't want it to, I mean, it's just too strange, but what we wanted was just something that shows a kind of a spatial vibe. So what we can do is test out something like this, like an like a light or a screen, something like this, just an effect that looks like a spatial effect. And if it is not perfect, we can always bring it up here like this. So now that we have something like this, what I did there was, sorry, let me go back so that you're not confused. Let me delete this one. So what I did there was, this sky, this is the sky. The blending option from normal, I changed it to screen. Now you can use color dodge, but I prefer screen. What screen does is it takes away the dark shade or the black part of an image, and the light part, it's impose it on any background. That's what screen does. So after doing that, I wanted to still have an extra sky effect above every other thing, so it can give this very crisp effect. So what I did was I duplicated the sky, Ctrl J, then I drag this other copy up above the model. That's why we have this effect. Now you can see that the effect is already affecting the ocean. So what you just do is select your layer mask, which is this. You take your brush, reduce your brush, then start painting out the ocean. Since we don't want it to be on the ocean, paint out the ocean. Just paint out every part of the ocean that has this. Now you can either paint out so that it's just the just this side that has it, or you can leave it, but I prefer we just paint it out so that it's just this side that has it, right? If you can see the difference, then you can reduce the opacity of the screen so that it doesn't totally affect the character. As much as the character is in a spatial environment, like the vibe is still just there, kind of, yeah. So yeah, we are progressing. Now for the ocean, there are two things we can do. We can do the same thing that we did with the sky, and that's we can turn this one to probably what's it called, something like an overlay, a hard light. Like, I'm just trying to test out what can work for us. I would have preferred us to have this kind of a normal concept. So, but what I'm going to do is I'll just use my normal, then let me duplicate and save, so that anything I do on the other one won't affect this first one. So select your layer marks on the ocean, take your brush tool. Now brush out, reduce the opacity to probably 40 or something, and brush out those parts that you don't want to show totally. Just brush them out a little bit. Now that we have that, now turn on your ocean, the second copy, ocean 1. You can change it to let's say screen dodge. No, okay, we can use color, yeah, just to have it as a color. Yeah, I like this. So we are going to use color, right? But not just using color, because I mean ocean is not as bright as this. It has to be dark. So we are going to add an effect, a dark effect. So to do that, just create a new layer just above the ocean one. Call it ocean shadow or ocean wherever. Please just follow me. I hope you are not confused already. Ocean shadow or ocean anything, whatever what you want to call it. What we want to do is we want to paint it black so that there's this vibe of, oh, it's dark in the ocean. So take your brush, increase the opacity to 100. Now just paint it anyhow you want to paint it, right? Because we'll still edit it. So paint it black, right? After painting it black, now the same thing we did for the sky and the ocean, we're going to do it for this shadow. We're going to come to our bubble marks, click on control, select bubble marks, then click on your ocean and select your layer marks, so that it constrains the shadow to that circular shape. Now that we have this shadow, we can now use an overlay or a soft layer or even a multiply, then just reduce the opacity slightly. And just reduce it slightly depending on what you want to achieve. Just reduce it slightly like this. Yeah. Now the sharks, you have to bring them down. Just select, hold down shift and select, and just bring them down. Yeah. I think that's shadow is too much. All right. So let me text out something. Let me use okay, normal. Just want to quickly test out something. Sharks. Let's change it to screen. No, not screen. Yeah, screen should work. Oh no, multiply won't work. So we're going to use screen. That's if we are going to leave this water the way it is, we're going to use screen. But if we are not going to leave the water the way it is, we can just bring it down and just turn the ocean to hue or color, sorry. So yeah. Anyways, I was just playing around. So we have this, right? We have this already. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to quickly edit this little guy here. You can see that this brightness is not visible anymore. That's this brightness. Let's just make it white. So you can come down to hue and saturation and just brighten it up, make it white. So yeah, let's just make it white. So what I want to do is I want to quickly just add. So yeah, why I mean the next thing we want to do now is just to add light and shadow to every of our elements, because everything there needs light and shadow. So first off, we are going to assume the light is coming towards the character, right? So everything at his back won't be as lighted up as the front. So we're going to be doing that. Now we're also going to make sure that this leg is properly placed inside the boat. So this is our model, right? This is our model. Now just select your pick your selection tool and just select the boat properly, and you can just delete. I mean, it's just something very simple. We are not going too much. We are not doing a lot of details on probably where the leg is or where the leg is not. We just want to have a kind of form of him being inside the boat. And to do that, if he's going to be inside the boat, his leg is going to cast a shadow on this side, as well as some other parts. So, and also he himself would have some dark areas here, and that dark areas will still cast a little bit here, and this light place will be lighted up because it's facing the light, as well as this part will be darkened because there's no light coming down from here, while this place will be lightened up, which is already lightened up already. So yeah, pardon my tautology. So this is the boat. Let's start with the boat. This is the boat. Create a new layer, call it lights, or let's start with the shadow, call it shadow. Now right click and create a clipping mask. So whatever it is we are doing on this shadow layer affects only the boat. So select your brush tool, reduce your brush. This is black because shadow is black. So we want to paint across this place. Just paint, don't worry, it's we're not using this automatically. We are still going to add some effect to it. So just paint like this, just like this, like this, like this. Now when you are done, come to normal and go to soft light and select soft light. Then you can reduce the opacity slightly. You understand? So you can see the difference. That's the difference. Let's take our eraser tool. We can erase this down part. We want it to only affect the boat. You can erase this down part. All right. So we have done the shadow. Not necessarily the shadow, just a dark area of the boat, so that it is very obvious to see that some part of the boat has light, some part of the boat does not. And also another thing I want to do is, there are several ways to darken the boat, but I like using, just come down here and use your adjustment layer and select brightness and contrast. And as usual, because we want it to only affect the boat, right click and select create clipping marks. So we want to just drag down this boat, just like this, drag it down, increase the brightness and the contrast. Now that we are done with that, you can, let me show you before and after. Before and after. So but we don't want it to stay like that because it's already losing its value. So we are going to brush out some part of the shadow so that it doesn't look totally dark. So select this layer mask, click on your brush and paint out those areas that the light should still be obvious in. So same thing with this, just like this. You can reduce the opacity a little and just paint around. Yeah. So if you can see the difference. You can see the difference. Yeah. Now that we have that, let's quickly work on the boy. Working on the boy, this is the model. Create a new layer, select, change it to light. Now photo manipulation, you have to take your time to work on the lighting and shadow, because light and shadow is a very important part of photo manipulation. But because we are working with a time, I'm just trying to show you the basics. There are a lot of stuff you should be doing that it's not part of this tutorial, but yeah, it's just the basics of light, shadow, just the basics. Anyways, let's continue. This is the light part of the light area. That's the light layer for the model. Then we'll switch to white. Select your brush, reduce your brush, change your opacity to 100. Now paint those places that that the light will get to. The light is shining towards the boy. So if the light is shining towards the boy, there are certain places on the boy that the light should show on. All this place, the light will be there. This part of his body, or this part, the light is going to be there. This part, and some parts here, because the light is a big light, so it covers lots. No, it's not going to be at the back here, but it's just somewhere around here, then majorly around here, then this part, then some side of his head, And the reason why this is looking blurry like this is because our image is not sharp. This particular image is not sharp. But yeah, you can see, let me show you, turn it off, turn it on. Now, but you won't leave it as normal. Come to your blending option and select overlay so that it looks better. Then you can reduce the opacity. Now it looks awesome. Like it's not losing the image, and yet it's showing that there's a light reflecting on the image. So I'm working with opacity of 76, fill of 85. So when you off it and on it, you can see that yes, there's a light there. So now let's work on the shadow. Let's create a new layer, call it shadow. Now turn this to black. Now paint those places that you know that the light will not get to. And we have some areas here, majorly this side. Don't worry, we are not going to paint it so bad like this. We're not going to paint it so bad like this. Then, you know, some major parts here, and also some parts here like this, and also some parts here like this. Then also the back of his head would not be so bright like this. Anyways, like I said, this is just a basic, so just flow along. Now when you have painted those shadow areas, come down to your blending option and select soft light. If you select shadow, it will give you this reddish kind of vibe. Just select soft light. So if I off it, on it back, you can see it makes it more realistic. Now if I turn off the light and shadow, it looks very plain and flat. But the moment I add light and shadow, now it looks realistic. Then for the shadow, you can reduce the fill. You can also reduce the, so I'm using for my shadow opacity of 90, fill of 85. You can see the difference. All right. So now that we have that, we are going to put a light in front of the guy, like just to show that yes, there's actually a light there. You know that the lights we put earlier on was just a dab of brush that we did there, but this time I was able to like get a particular light that we can use, and that light was downloaded, and this is the light that we're going to use. You can also on PNG wing, just search for light glow and you would see this particular light there. Now let's reduce it. Let's reduce this light. Rasterize it. Now you can see that this light has background. What we want to do is we are going to just convert it, like we're just going to use our blending option to remove the dark side of it. So it's very simple. Just select your light glow, come down to your blending option and select screen. If you select dodge, it will be too to have this red effect. It's too much, except if you are working on Marvel characters and there's a part that you want to showcase light and stuff. But we don't want that. We want something soft and subtle. So we want our screen. Place it somewhere here, just so that it shows that you're actually is viewing something. You can reduce it. You can reduce the light slightly. Just so you can reduce it slightly. Yeah, something like this. So it shows that something is actually being seen, like is walking towards the light, kind of. So yeah, we can also use that same light glow for our the back of the bubble. Instead of that dab glow we did, I think that would give us a more beautiful effect, kind of. Yeah. So if I turn off this dark glow, yeah, I mean a more realistic effect. This one looks too white, so let's just use this glow. You can see the difference, and if you want it to be brighter, you can just Ctrl J to duplicate, and it's brighter. But we don't want it to be brighter. We want it to have just a soft light. So now that we are done partially with this whole bubble, just the bubble, because we have not touched the hand. We are done partially with this bubble. What we want to now do is, this is the bubble, right? You can see this is the bubble. Now select the bubble. We want to, there's a light in front of the bubble, so the bubble should also have, shades of light around it. So select the bubble, create a new layer above the bubble and call it lights. Clip it to the bubble so that anything we add to that light will only affect the bubble. Right click, create clipping marks. Now switch this to white, bring in your brush tool, paint across, select 100, paint across this bubble like this. Just paint across. Just like this. Alright, paint across like that. Alright, after painting, you can come down to normal and change it to overlay. Now, to finalize on the bubble before we go to the hand, select this bubble the way it is, select both the bubble and the shadow and the light. To select both of them, just hold down your shift. Now right click both of them and select link layers. When you select link layers, we are able to carry multiple layers together to different places. So what we want to do is duplicate it. Ctrl J. Then we are going to bring one part of the bubble up. I was saying that to get a bubble effect, you need to be able to multiply, duplicate your bubble and place it above the elements. It's just like this cup, right? We have placed this. Let's get this cup is transparent, but because we want to place elements on the cup, instead of putting it inside, Photoshop will place it on the layer, on the body. Now to give the effect that is actually inside, we have to create another cup and put it above like this, so that the element will be in between two cups. Same thing with the bubble. So then you're going to drag in your bubble to the top, just like this. Now you can see that vibe. You can see that it now looks like it's actually inside a bubble. So that's just what we're trying to do. If I turn it off, you see what I'm talking about. You see, now it looks like it's actually inside a bubble. But another effect you can do is you can just tilt the bubble slightly, so that it is not just the direct duplicate of the one we just worked on. So to do that, you just select your transform control, or just press T and just tilt it like this. Tilt it till at least you are satisfied with what you see. When you tilt it, you see that some parts have moved out of the way. Then you can just properly align it like this. All right. Now, if you still want it to not have so much effects, you can reduce the opacity, just like this. Yeah. Ensure you save. Always save. So now we are done with this bubble. I like where it is. I like how it goes. There are a lot of things that we can still do to it. A lot of light and shadow that we can still add. But just for time's sake, you can always work on that personally. But quickly, let's just work on this shack. Like I said, we have two shacks there. The first one is the one that is emphasized. The other two would be blurred out. So come down to your filter, choose your blur, Gaussian blur. So we are going to use 1.6. Okay, 1.6 is okay. Select the second shack. Just come down to your filter and select Gaussian blur, or press Alt. Control Alt F. Now place those shack just behind it so that it doesn't look too far from each other. Then place this one just behind it. Now, lastly, there's a boat above the shack. Even if it is in the ocean, right? The shadow will still cast. The boat will still cast a shadow on the shack. So we want to quickly add a shadow, so only the shack. You can always do the rest on your own free time. So just let's quickly cast a shadow on the shark. So as usual, select your brush out those parts that would have the shadow. Just select those parts. When you are satisfied, when you are satisfied, come down to your blending option, select you can select overlay or soft light depending, or you can just select multiply and reduce the opacity till you are satisfied. Yeah, so that's one way to do that. Now we are done with the bubble effect and everything. So now the bubble is on the hand, right? The hand is going to cast a shadow on the hand, and also the light that is in front of the hand would cast a light on the hand as well. So to do that, let's just quickly go to where the hand is. This is the hand. So this hand, let's create a layer, call it light, clip it to the hand. So because the light is coming directly, you can see that the light is actually on the hand, not in front, on the hand. The way we placed it, the light is on the hand. So that means the light would be somewhere here. So create this, select white, then paint, just paint across like this. Don't mind that it is white. I mean, we would always use our blending option, but the idea is to paint across like this. Alright, when you are satisfied with what you have, then you can change the normal, you can change it from the blending option from normal to either overlay or soft light, but it's actually overlay. But the overlay, the brightness is too much, so you can reduce it. Yeah, you can reduce it. Now, there's still something missing. How do we claim that there's a light showing on this hand if this part is dark? So we need to bring in this light glow above here. So where's the light glow? This is this light glow. Duplicate, Ctrl J, then bring it down here. Just, yeah. No, you can increase it whichever way you want to increase it. The idea is to have it also beneath, since it is casting a shadow. So the idea is to have it beneath. Now you might say, okay, it's too bright, let's reduce the brightness. But yeah, but that's just the idea, to have it beneath. So that's about that. And if you want to complete it, you might just add brightness to the side. It depends on what you want to achieve, right? Depends on what you want to achieve. You can just add also to this side and just make it like this, just so that it does in all sides, something like this. So yeah, we have this down part. I think we should, yeah, we have this like this. Now for the shadow part of the hand, this is the hand. Create a new layer, call it shadow. Now your black, select and paint the area where you know that your light will not get to. Then select soft light, and as usual, reduce the opacity. Reduce the opacity like this. So yeah, let's compare and contrast. Let's bring out our sketch. We are not done. This is our sketch, and this is our final result. This is our sketch and final result. Everything on this sketch is fully represented on the final result, and you can see how nice it is. There are a lot of things we still need to do, but just because we are behind schedule, you can just put it, put the wraps here. So now, the next thing I'm going to do, just as we are rounding off, is to convert everything in this bubble as just one object. Now, to do that, I will select, starting from this part down to where we have the bubble itself. You can just you group it as Ctrl G. So if I close it up, you can see that the bubble is, so you can just call it bubble effect. Now, the reason I'm doing that is that I want to convert the group into one object so that I can do a final touch. And to do that, just duplicate it and convert, or you can merge it. You can just merge the group. Oh, there's an effect there that I won't allow. Alright, so there's an effect here. Okay, just in front here. Alright, let's just skip that. Now, the reason why I wanted to do was I wanted to like convert it into a single image so that I can add some other effects. But because we have this light glow there, and we used screen, although we could actually just bring it like this. I think we can just bring it like this and just work on it. Alright, let's just do that. Let's do like that. So this bubble effect, we can just merge it, right? Now you can see that when we merge it, this layer, I think I kind of like this. Don't lose focus. Anyways, let's go back. Let's leave this as it is. So yeah, the final touches that we are going to do is this. Number one, when you take a picture of your hand, like I said, the background will be blurred, right? But you won't be able to tell the difference between the edge of your hand with the background. So you have to ensure that you can see this hand, you can see the edge. I mean, anybody can easily know that no, this is not part of the background. So it makes your work look fake. If anybody zoom into it, I mean, from out, if you expand it, it might look okay, but professionals will see that, know that yes, it looks fake. So how do we do that? We blur out the edges of the hand. So select the hand. When you select the hand, zoom in. Now come down to blur. This is your blur tool. Then what you want to do is just blur out only the edges. Just blur out every part of the edge. What you are doing is you are making the hand blend with the background so that it is not so obvious that the hand is separate from the background. That's what you are trying to do. It's a very simple but effective trick that every professional manipulator uses to make sure that their design does not look flat. So you just don't blend inside the hand, just the edges, just around the edges. We just want to blend the edges so that when you zoom out, you see that, oh wow, there's no difference between the hand and it just looked like you actually took the picture of the hand itself. Right, so just blur out the edges, every part of the edge, blur it out. Like I said, this is a beginner tutorial, so definitely I won't pour out everything to you. I mean, this is just a little bit of what you can learn on Photoshop as regards photo manipulation. But yeah, it's just to wet the ground so that when you start working on your own personal briefs and some other projects, you'll be able to like easily work around things. Anyways, after blowing it, you can see that yes, we have if I zoom in now, just let me zoom in casually. You can see the hand and the background. You can't tell the difference. Can you see? You can't tell the difference, and that's what it does. It just helps us to. Now you can do the same for the bubble, but I tell you not to spend too much time on it because bubble most times already have a blurry background. But this part, you can see this part, you need to work on it. So what we can do is select the bubble as well. and just pick your blur tool and just blur it out. We have to bubble, just blur it out, and just do it across, just blur out. It's just so that it can blend, with the background. Just blur it out like that. Let's select the other bubble. Alright, yeah, so we're already rounding off. Let's stop here. Now finally it's time to put finishing touches to our design, and finishing touches in the likes of brightness, contrast, exposure, camera raw filter, blah blah blah. Now you want to ensure that you don't put too many effects on your design. When you see your design that it looks cool already, you don't want to overdo your effects. So now there's what we call color lookup, and that's what we use when we want to add some specific effects to a particular design. So when you click on your adjustment layer, all these effects can be used, but there's one I use specifically, color lookup. Under color lookup, I currently have more than 400 free color LUT. So, and these things you can get them on Google. Just type free LUTs, and you get links to downloading them. And if you need them, you can also chat me up personally. So under this LUT, they are different. Just look at, we have diverse effects. Now this effect, when you click on one, it automatically gives the effect to all the designs. So for example, if I click on orange and blue, you can see the effect of orange and blue. If you click on orange and teal, you can see the effect of orange and teal. If you click on two stripe, like each has its own qualities. And if you click on foggy nights, something like this. So you can also mix the color lookup. So for example, if I use foggy nights to bring out the contrast, and when I select foggy nights and I change the blending mode to probably soft light or multiply, or I just use it personally like that, you can always, it depends on how you want to achieve your effect. But I'm not going to use foggy nights. I'll just use what's it called? I'll use 3 stripe. Instead of overlay, I'll use normal. Then I would reduce the opacity. I'll reduce the opacity so you can see the difference, just a slight difference. Now, to finalize it, we will take our design to camera raw filter, and to do that, you want to convert every of your design into a single image without changing any effect or anything. And to do that, select the topmost layer, scroll down to the last layer, hold down shift and select the last layer. So the topmost layer, you select it, you scroll down, select, hold down shift and select the last layer, just to select all. Then what you now do is you press down Ctrl Shift Alt E. When you press Ctrl Shift Alt E, it automatically, you can see here, you see it is now a separate image on its own. You can tag it Destiny. So you press down Ctrl Shift Alt E. So you press down Ctrl Shift then Alt, then you press E. So it converts everything into an image. Now when you convert it to an image, don't forget to save your work. Come down to filter, select camera raw filter. Then this is where we just do a little bit of touches. Most times photographers use this to add some nice effects. We can add a little bit of temperature, make it cold or make it bright, but don't overdo it, else it will lose its authenticity. So exposure, we want to reduce the exposure slightly because it's too bright, kind of. So we want to reduce the exposure slightly, just something like 0.35. Contrast, we want to reduce the contrast slightly. Increase the highlights. We want to reduce the shadow. I want to increase the white. I want to reduce the black. right? Let's reduce the texture and increase the clarity. Now the vibrance, you don't need to add so much vibrance because the image itself is vibrant. So, but if you want, you can just add slightly. But if you add too much, it becomes too vibrant. So just slightly, just like this. Yeah. All right. Now that we are done, there are other tools to use here. You can, curve it to add effects, to add a darker vibe and all. You can color mix, and you can color grade, that's mid-tone shadows and all highlights and the likes of it. But I won't really go into all those details. Then also for the effects, you can add grain. Grain is when you are doing a photo manipulation where, like the kind of the Mona Lisa painting, where you want to have grains, like kind of noise around that, makes it look old school. Makes sense. Then for the optics, distortion and vignette, you can add that. So and when you're done, just press OK and you save. And when you're done, you can see what we have created so far. It's not perfect, it's not, but the idea is you being able to come up with a concept, sketch it out, source images, and design. So yeah, that's usually the process for a photo manipulation artist. If you want to grow as a beginner, this is a beginner tutorial. So for professionals, there are certain terminologies that I would not have used, but because I'm dealing with beginners here, I just have to make it so basic. So yeah, if you still do not understand certain things, you can always reach out to top professionals on the group, and I'm very sure they are going to be willing to reach to help you, and also you can reach out to me personally. So yeah, that's basically where we end it as regards the tutorial, the beginners tutorial. And so I really wish that we put our best to this. And also about photo manipulation, if you don't practice every day, if you just try this and just leave it, you won't grow. There's a saying that if you want to be a master at something, you have to spend at least 6 hours every day on it. So if you want to master this, even if it's just 1 hour, 2 hours per day, just go on Pinterest, pick out an inspiration, and just replicate. So it's just the same thing with brand identity and other things. Just replicate, create, and all that. So yeah, I wish you the best in your endeavors and your assignments. For those that will be participating in the assignments, I wish you the best. All right, see you guys. Thank you.